The next tool we're going to take a look at and what you're going to need for cabinet building is the router. So I'll show you mine. This is a Bosch. So actually, I'll just give you a quick overview here. The router basically consists of the motor. There's a motor assembly here and a bit, and this is a router bit here on the end, and it goes into a little collet that holds it in place. And this one actually has speed settings, so I can drive the RPM up or down when it's on. And this one actually comes with, this Bosch unit comes with two different attachments, or two different kind of base assemblies. This one is a plunge base. So it allows me actually to hold it like this, okay? And you would hit the trigger, and this whole assembly moves away up and down and reveals the blade. There's also a fixed base version of that assembly, so I have both. I could use the plunge or I can use the fixed. I actually have the fixed installed on my router table. So what do you need the router for when you're building cabinets? I'm going to use it for cutting grooves and dados in certain parts of, depending upon the cabinet piece. You'd also use it for routing profiles on your door, your cabinet doors, both on the outer edge if you want any type of profile, or if you want to do a certain type of tongue and groove joint, you can do that. Also, if you want to do like a raised panel door or like a beaded door, then you need a router. If you have a really high-end, if you have if you have one of the better table saws that can take a 3/4 inch dado, and you're going to use your table saw for that particular type of machining work, then you could probably get away with using a router or owning one. The other thing is, depending upon what type of door profile you want, you can actually do a raised panel profile door on a table saw. You can actually do that, but a router bit works just as easy. So my advice to you would be, if you don't have a router yet, you may want to go out and get a $100 version. So there's a Porter cable router. I think it's around $100. It's a pretty good unit. I actually owned it until this one. The only drawback to some of those less expensive models is there's no speed setting, and you usually only get one particular base. So if you buy, I think, the Porter cable for 100 or 120 or whatever it is, it'll come with the fixed base, and it'll be a single speed type router. Having control over the speed, which this Bosch offers, it gives you more control. So depending upon your bit size, so if you have a wide bit, like a raised panel bit, the raised panel bit I have, the diameter is huge. It's like the palm of my hand. And you'd want to rotate that blade or that router bit at a slower speed. You get a cleaner cut. So you have the flexibility to do that with a controlled speed router, where you don't on, say, like that low-end Porter cable. But Porter cable does offer higher-end units. I just want to say that that's the one I've seen. That's the one I've owned, and it was a great unit. I ended up burning it out with that big router bit I ended up using. That was a lesson learned for me. But so consider, if you think you're going to be doing a lot more woodworking, or you may want to just consider picking one up. And then you have the versatility to do it. So in addition to the router, what you may want to consider either buying or building yourself is a router table. So during the course of this course and in the cabinet construction, a router table is pretty handy to have. If you want to do certain profiles on your doors, or like a raised panel bit, or even just a profile on the edge of the door, having a router table kind of makes that easier. We do have free plans for a very basic router table, so I would recommend, if you think you're going to be doing this, then put it together. It's fairly inexpensive and really easy to do. But it adds a whole other level of functionality for your router bits and all that stuff. Like if you want to do a raised panel profile on a cabinet door, you really can't freehand a raised panel bit on the router. It's got to be on a router table, and you got to move the board across the table as opposed to moving the router and its bit across a clamped piece of wood, for example. You just can't do it. You have to have that table. So just for some food for thought there regarding that whole situation.